Good afternoon, folks. Letting people in. We're going to get started in about a minute. Lots of people on the call. Um, so I'm going to start us with just some engagement norms as people join. So we would love if you could rename yourself in Zoom to display your name, organization, and pronouns. Um, that way we know who you are, where you're from, how to address you. We've all been on Zoom for a while now, so using virtual meeting space etiquette of mute when you're not speaking. This is a very big meeting and not a webinar, so um, please make sure that you're muted when you are not speaking, and feel free to use the chat function for questions or comments. And we do ask that if you want to come off mute and ask questions, we encourage it. Just raise your hand first so we don't have a bunch of people jumping in and speaking over one another. Um, a couple other engagement norms for today. We really want to keep our conversation solutions focused. I know there's a ton of challenges happening, but we really want to try and problem solve today and stay focused on what can we affect and what strategy can we implement. And then finally, strive to be engaged. I know everyone is coming from a place where they're incredibly busy, and we are so appreciative that you're here. So, engage as much as you can. With that, we're going to get started. All right. Well, thank you for joining us for the first session of our FAFSA Focus series. Our agenda today is we are going to do a quick overview of who NIPSI is and why we are running the FAFSA Focus series this year. We're going to go through our quick goals for the FAFSA Focus series, and then we're going to hear from two of our districts around the strategies that they're using to improve FAFSA completion this year. We're going to hear from Pinellas County Schools in Florida and Indianapolis Public Schools in Indiana. Then we'll have some time for an idea exchange. So you'll get to hear from other folks across the nation who have joined today and share ideas about how to improve your FAFSA strategies. We'll do a share out and wrap up. I'm sure this hour is going to go incredibly fast. And I'm so excited to have you all here today. Thank you for joining us. I'm now going to hand it over to Dr. Joyce Brown to tell you a little bit more about who NIPSI is.
Thanks, Allison, and good afternoon, everyone. I am Joyce Brown, one of the NIPSI founders, and I want to add my welcome to the National Postsecondary Strategy Institute webinar, Navigating FAFSA Completions Together. Before beginning, I want to share just a little bit about the NIPSI organization. We're a relatively new nonprofit that partners with school district leaders and college access organizations across the nation to help develop structured district-wide post-secondary advising systems, integrating the three components of the NIPSI model: leadership, data strategy, and school counselors engaged as leaders. The NIPSI model implementation is delivered with expert guidance from the NIPSI team through a lens of practitioner experience. We focus on belief brings change. When stakeholders have a belief mindset, positive change can happen for all students, especially underrepresented populations. Our aim is always to maximize post-secondary success for every student. Hence, we all understand on this webinar that FAFSA is important to post-secondary success. The work of NIPSI is rooted in the word believe, and the NIPSI model is based upon the work that the NIPSI founders did within the Chicago public school system almost 20 years ago, when we helped establish the first ever Department of College and Career Readiness. We were tasked with believing that we could implement structured strategies to ensure that 500,000 students at that time understood that college was possible for their life. Ironically, we made up FAFSA tracking along with our state partner. That was a strategy we created and implemented. And so you can understand that today we are thrilled that several states have made FAFSA completion a graduation requirement, and others are implementing FAFSA tracking strategies. On the next screen is a visual of the NIPSI model for post-secondary success. Notice that at the center of the model is student success. Within each of the three NIPSI components, there is a belief mindset. Leadership is important to student success because leaders must structure and organize post-secondary strategies and have a clear plan for increasing post-secondary outcomes tied to measurable data points. So we certainly hope that the leaders on this call glean some strategies around how to organize FAFSA completion. Data strategy is important to the belief framework because districts must commit to using reliable data to inform strategy development and identify needed interventions. And we know tracking those completion confirmations are key. Finally, there must be a belief about the value of empowering school counselors to lead post-secondary access work in their schools and engage partners in the process. Counselors no longer can operate at the periphery of post-secondary advising, but instead must have a clear role to position students on pathways leading to post-secondary opportunities at the end of high school. And I'm so excited to hear from Pinellas today, whose district counselor leader, is making a presentation. Leadership, data strategy, and school counselor engagement are the three fundamental structures of the NIPSE model, but we know that the work cannot take place with structures alone. So we also advance the outer practices of the NIPSE circle: collaboration, communication, relationships, and shared accountability for student success. The NIPSE team is always excited about the opportunity to work with others that embrace a vision for maximum post-secondary success for all students, and we hope that you continue to engage with us. Back to you, Allison.
Thanks, Joyce. So engage with us. So we, now you know who NIPSE is. We would love to have you follow us on social media, tag us in any posts, share reactions to this event, and let other folks know about the upcoming session. Quickly, our goals for today. So we really want to highlight and celebrate organizations that are proactively addressing challenges of the new FAFSA. We are going to hear from Pinellas and Indianapolis today. We're excited to hear from them. They're the first folks to raise their hands to share their strategies. And so we really want to celebrate that the work they're doing and identify strategies that can be shared with you all. We want to build a community of FAFSA support. And so we want to create this community with you all so that you're not facing these FAFSA challenges alone. I'm hoping today you walk away having at least one person who you didn't know before that you feel brought something to the table that you could ask them for or that you could bring back to your district. And then finally, the strategies that are shared from our presenters, and you all in the idea share, we're going to compile those resources and strategies that can be shared to improve FAFSA strategies nationally. What this presentation is not going to be, it's not going to be technical assistance on how to complete the FAFSA. So if you're looking for support around specific questions on individual pieces of the FAFSA, this is not the webinar for you, or at least you won't get it here today. And with that, I am excited to introduce Pinellas County Schools. We have Valerie Santos with us today. She is their K-12 Guidance Service Specialist. Excited to have Pinellas here. Last year, they were awarded the winner of Most Improved District for FAFSA completion from the Florida College Access Network. And they're here today to share their strategies. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Valerie.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My team and I are so happy to present our FAFSA strategies that allowed us to win the Most Improved Large District last year for the FPN FAFSA Challenge. This year has brought many challenges as we have to continue to be creative with new strategies to navigate the new and improved but delayed FAFSA. While our district team is 4 strong, with Brooke Pear, our financial aid advisor, Janabelle Jackson Stewart, our Elevating Excellence coordinator, and Kim Meinhardt and myself, we have 18 college and career coordinators, one at every single high school, and a little more than 70 high school counselors that make this all possible. Today, I broke our strategies into 4 categories: professional development, resources and events, collaboration, and communication. Living in a state that does not require FAFSA completion for graduation strategy is of the utmost importance. First, we optimize training. While every year we take training to prepare for any changes or the need to refresh for FAFSA very seriously, this year was even more important as no one knew what to expect. We are also still learning as we go with each completion event. All district CCR team members, high school counselors, and college and career counselors have NCAN accounts and are able to access all on-demand post-secondary modules. We find it important for all involved to have such great resources at their fingertips. All of our coordinators and many of our counselors have completed the post-secondary advisor badges through NCAN, and obviously the FAFSA trainings available as well. We also provide in-person trainings at our counselor and coordinator meetings. Weekly updates and follow-ups are sent out to ensure everyone is aware of changes and workarounds as they come through. This is something we had to implement this year as there were constant changes and ways of work that became apparent as we navigated through this application. One of those big changes was we wanted to do like the FAFSA FSA ID drives pretty early on, and then we started realizing through our events that maybe that wasn't the best way of work. So we kind of had to regroup, make sure we let all the individuals know that, you know, hey, we're regrouping, we're rethinking this. Now we want to do it this way. So really just, you know, keeping out the most up-to-date items out there for all of them, everyone that's involved. Moving on to resources and events. As we prepared for events this year, we knew we needed to optimize our time with a much shorter window than we had previously. This was a great practice, and I think we'll continue to do this moving forward. We created step-by-step instructions for families and had them register for events. In doing so, we were able to send them required items to bring and pre-work that may be necessary, so that when they got to the site, they weren't frustrated that, oh, I didn't bring that, or I don't have that. You know, they had all the items that they needed with them. We sent that out, especially for our pre-registered folks. We all know that you're going to have people come that aren't pre-registered, but we kind of caught as many as we could. When registering, the families could identify if they needed an interpreter, and we supported them as much as we were able to. Many of our resource flyers were also translated. We offered 3 large-scale district events, and every single one of our 17 high schools are required to have a standalone FAFSA event at their high school that is supported by their college and career coordinator, their high school counseling team, and a district team member. We post all of the calendar of events out on our website, and we send those out. So families, let's say if they aren't able to go to their high school's event, they can find a high school that might be closer to them and attend that event, or they can attend one of our Saturday events that we have. That's one of the big, all of our large district events are Saturday events. We found that that is easier for the families to get there and complete it. It's a wider window. People are often less stressed on a Saturday. You know, going to do a FAFSA after work sometimes on a weeknight, which all our high school events are, sometimes is not conducive to success. Families are also able to seek out ongoing FAFSA support through our school's college and career centers. Many of our coordinators offer FAFSA Fridays, where families know if they still need help with completing their FAFSA, they can bring their documents and other items to the center and get assistance that they may need, students as well. Next, collaboration and community partners. When they say collaboration is key, I would certainly agree. Our community partners are invaluable in the work that we do, especially when it comes to FAFSA. All of our FAFSA events have college financial aid representatives available to assist families answer questions. This year, I believe they were more thankful to assist us than with working the events, because they were able to take what they learned at our events and back to their actual site and their schools, because they were learning as they were going as well. We were all kind of not in the know this year, and so it was just a work in progress, which I'm sure many of you guys can relate to that. Also, our LCAN, the Pinellas Education Foundation, and LEAP Tampa Bay are always ready to support us in any way they can. They help us advertise and get the word out about our events and available resources. They also provide incentives like breakfast, swag bags, or gift cards to make our FAFSA events that much more exciting. I mean, who doesn't want to come and fill out their FAFSA? We've even had families reach out and say, I plan on coming to another event, but can I still get a swag bag? So those do make the folks want to come out. We have also started working with partners to offer events off-site. Last Saturday, we hosted an event with over 50 families at a public library and had interpreters with 3 different languages. Almost every family left with a completed FAFSA, and we're extremely grateful for the assistance. Lastly, communication. To say we become social media experts through this may be an understatement. We have learned that is one of the best ways to get the word out. Our College and Career Center has its own district Instagram account, and it advertises all of the events. We also work in conjunction with our district's communication team to ensure big events are front and center on the district main page, school web pages, and district social media. I would also say another successful strategy is family messengers that we send to specific grade levels to provide information and resources that are relevant to that grade level as it relates to college and career. It also connects families with our district team. School level strategies are also effective in bringing attention to the families. One of our high school marquees simply reads, "Do your FAFSA." Getting leadership to value it and put it in the forefront is more difficult, but it can make all the difference. Here at Pinellas County Schools, our superintendent Hendrick is one of the strongest supporters of college and career readiness, including FAFSA completion. That has made a huge difference in leadership support throughout the district from the top down. Whether it be district leadership, principals, or assistant principals, it brings attention and value to FAFSA completion. Thank you. And that's it. Let me know if you have any questions.
Great, thank you, Valerie. We have about 5 minutes for Q&A. Donna, I see you raised your hand.
I'm trying to unmute and turn my camera on. I don't have a question, but as one of the directors that supports Val, I just want to say that I'm so very proud of the efforts that Val and her team have made. And just to kind of give you a sense of what we have to overcome, not only is it not a graduation requirement, but here in Pinellas County, I mean, it's gorgeous here. We live on the beach. So we have pockets of really high income families that it's sometimes difficult for us to get them to see the value and the need to complete FAFSA. So I really do think that the work that they've made and the award they received, it really should be encouraging kind of to anyone that's listening, because regardless of the situation, you know, your plan may not look exactly like Val's, but it is possible to make progress and to engage more families and give students more opportunity. So that's all. I just want to say, Val, I'm just so proud of you, and not just this presentation, but the work that you've done with this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Valerie, we have a question in the chat from Morgan. She's asking, what are the main differences between college and career coordinators versus a school counselor's role in the efforts you all put in? What specifically does the CCC do day to day?
So we actually have a model for that so that we can keep both of them in line. So in our Venn diagram, the counselors have very specific roles. They have that academic advising, the scheduling, the social, emotional, and the mental health needs of the students, the parents and the teachers, and then in the middle together they work on FAFSA, they work on Zello tasks, they work on Bright Futures, on scholarships, on college applications, that kind of thing. The coordinator then has a lot of the follow-up. So they would have, when you tell a student to go do this application and then you've told them like 3 other times. Well, the coordinator is dedicated to that, have the College and Career Center open 5 days a week, the entire school day, and then sometimes after hours to ensure that all those tasks are completed and do the follow-up that's necessary. They do not have to be a school counselor. They are at just below an instructional level. So they do make a decent amount. They have to have a bachelor's degree, but they basically are the support to continue that college and career.
All right, any other questions? Feel free to come off mute or drop in the chat. Taslin, can you share that diagram?
Sure.
If you
I'll
want to
figure-
send it to me, I can attach it when I do a follow-up with the
Absolutely.
diagram.
Yes, I will. It's actually in a slideshow. I'll pull it out, make sure I send it, and then that way you guys can have the diagram.
Perfect. I'll include it in the follow-up to this session to everybody who attended. All right, I'm going to move us right along to our next presenters. Thank you so much, Val. I really appreciate your time and effort here today and all the work that you're doing in Pinellas. So I would now like to introduce Indianapolis Public Schools. Today we're going to hear from Courtney Thomas, their post-secondary readiness 3E coordinator, and LaSaundra Alexander, their college specialist. And so welcome. I'm excited to hear from you all today.
Thank you so much, Allison. Good afternoon to everyone. We are really excited to share some of our strategies as well. I think a couple of things will sound similar to Pinellas County and probably things that you all are already doing. But it's kind of nice to hear, okay, I am doing the right things and we're all in this together. So I am Courtney Thomas. I am our 3E coordinator, which is a position within our post-secondary readiness department. My role is to support our future centers, which are our college and career readiness centers within our 4 district managed high schools. And within those future centers, that is the place for students to get additional support in one of the 3 E's that are required for graduation. So whether that is they are looking to get set for employment, enlistment, or enrollment. With enrollment being the one that has the most steps. So we are putting so much focus into FAFSA completion, scholarships, college applications, and then making sure that throughout that summer melt process, students are making it to their final destination. So a little bit about Indianapolis Public Schools. We have 31,000 students. As I mentioned, my role is with the future centers at our 4 district managed high schools. Currently, we have about 1,400 students enrolled who are seniors, and the demographic breakdown is about 50% of Hispanic, Latino, 50% Black, African American, and then our SPED and ELL population are about 20% and 15% of those seniors. Next slide. So Indianapolis Public Schools has actually been on the road to trying to increase our FAFSA completion. We were in that boat of students graduating and not being set up for success. And not being set up for success includes not completing their FAFSA, because if they're trying to go to our local community college, which is really popular and the #1 community college or the largest community college in the nation, Ivy Tech, then they needed to have that FAFSA complete. And so lots of students kind of being left out for that first year post-graduation with not having that. So in 2020, 2021, we had 45% FAFSA completion. That went up a little bit in the next year. And then last year, our FAFSA completion was at 56.35% as a district. So that's all 4 of the high schools average. 2 of our high schools were recognized as being leaders within the state of Indiana for their FAFSA completion. And that was Crispus Attucks High School and Shortridge High School. Last year, we also implemented the opt-out model, which is a way for students and families to say, hey, I hear you, this is important, thank you for the information, but we are deciding not to complete FAFSA at this time. And as a district, we felt good about the efforts that were being put in to ensure that families were making an educated decision if they did choose to opt out. And then combining those 2, we sat at about a 76.5% for FAFSA engagement. So that is making sure that students have either completed it or that they have opted out. And then the leftovers of that are students who were just not engaged in the process at all. Our goal this year is going to be 100% FAFSA engagement. And so that is what we are working on moving forward. Thank you, Allison. So we talked about the future centers. The FAFSA became a focus. Then the opt-out came last year. And this year, Indiana is requiring FAFSA completion for graduation. So in their wording, it is completion or opting out. So every single student will have to have one of those to check off their box for graduation. Because of that, the state has partnered with a huge foundation, which is the Fairbanks Foundation in the state, and they offered a really nice amount of money in grants for districts to apply and then utilize that for however they see fit to increase FAFSA completion, college application rates, scholarship completion, and then ensuring students make their final destination for enrollment. And so with that, we did a full-time role for a college specialist for the district, and that's LaSaundra, and she'll talk more about her role and what she's been doing, but she supports our 4 district managed high schools and increasing their FAFSA completion. She has specified days at each school, spends the entire day at that school within the Future Center as a way for students to either have scheduled time to come down, small groups, events, do push-ins. She also organizes all of the FAFSA family nights that she'll discuss in a little bit, but it's been a really big help. The state of Indiana has the worst school counselor to student ratio, according to the ASCA. So our counselors need help. And so all of these roles are kind of there to assist them. And then with that, a couple of our community partners were also recipients of the grant. And so we've been working with them a lot. So Indiana Latino Institute is ILI. They obviously are a huge help with working with the families if there is mixed documentation status, additional questions, and just simply translating for a lot of the things that we need. The Center for Leadership Development is also huge in the Indianapolis community, and they have been a great resource for students and families. And then the Urban League is another large partner, and they really help with feeding our families, providing incentive for families to ensure that they are completing the FAFSA. And then this is LaSaundra.
So my name is LaSaundra Alexander. I am the college specialist for Indianapolis Public Schools. Like Courtney mentioned earlier, I go into the future centers and I help with college applications, FAFSA, scholarships, and in the summertime, I will be supporting the Future Center staff with the summer melt program, just making sure students are not melting away over the summer and they are following their whether that's enlistment, enrollment, or employment. So with this slide, I'm going to talk about the NCAN submission dashboard, the National College Attainment Network. So as you can see, we decided to pull up Arsenal Tech High School. And basically, this graph is showing that this year, the class of 2024 is at 93% of submissions, where since we had a late start, this is really good compared to last year, a class of 2023. Students were at 123 submissions. So I feel like Arsenal Tech is really good, which is why we wanted to highlight it this school, just because we didn't start in October and we started in December 31st or January, I should say. We are already moving fast to meet our deadline. Next slide, please. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the IPS data dashboard. This basically gives student level data. We get the data from the Commission for Higher Education. This data gets pulled from the federal government. And it also, we can go into ScholarTrack, which is a student information system where we can see information about the students who completed the FAFSA, how many submissions we have. Our 2023-24 FAFSA goals, we decided we wanted to do 100% FAFSA engagement. So this includes FAFSA completion and FAFSA opt-outs. As far as the FAFSA completion, we have activities set up that I will talk about here in a few, just to get our students and family to complete the FAFSA. Also, we do highlight the FAFSA opt-outs for students that are just totally not interested, but we like to leave that for the last resort. As you know, Indiana is a graduation requirement. Next slide, please. So I wanted to talk about our parent engagement. So to get students and families engaged, we have FAFSA filing nights at each high schools. We also have our community partners such as InvestEd, Indiana Latino Institute, Urban League. These community partners are a huge help when we have our FAFSA filing nights, because it helps the parents who are unfamiliar and unaware solve problems with FAFSA, and it also gets our students to reach their completion. We also provide food and incentives at our FAFSA filing nights. We will have an event called Parents in Touch Days, where students and families can come in and get FAFSA help. Also, while they get a chance to meet and talk with teachers or counselors. To push our FAFSA awareness during our district, we make phone calls, we have texts, we have our FAFSA nights on the radio and the news, and we also like to do emails and newsletter. One of the things, some of the challenges that we've had with the FAFSA is the parent FSA ID account creation. I know the inviting contributor has caused a lot of complications. We've also had complications with parents that don't have social security numbers and parents that are non-citizens. So we have been working really hard to help students and families complete their FAFSA, but we know that we have ran into major issues with parents who are non-citizens and do not have socials.
Perfect. And so the impacts for our district in particular are just the fact that it is now the graduation requirement. So it is helping us in ensuring that students and families are educated on the FAFSA and have the opportunity to complete it with additional support. For the opt-out, I will also say, if you all are thinking about implementing that, we have the requirements from the state for there to be documentation that there's been at least 2 meaningful contacts with students and families in order to opt them out of that process. And then if a student is over 18 or an emancipated minor, they can opt themselves out, or a parent can opt the student out because they're not going to provide information. So we have been working through all of those scenarios with students. And then within our state, April 15th is our FAFSA deadline for students to receive any state aid. And so with that timeline just really stresses us out, and we are hopeful that there are some extensions because of that. And then, as you all know, the delay in the award letters, a lot of our institutions are working with students directly, which is super helpful so that they can make plans as the time is nearing for them. But I think that's all. Those are all our slides. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, LaSaundra. Appreciate the time. So any questions? No questions?
I'll ask one because I know a little bit more about what you're all doing, but Can you guys share more about your thinking of why you started like the opt out and your 100% FAFSA engagement? Because I think that's a really the way you think about touch points is really unique. That might help others. So can you just share a little bit more about how you kind of came to that and what that looks like?
Yeah, I remember last school year talking with a district in Tennessee, and they were touting 100% FAFSA engagement, and we were just really curious about what that meant. And so, learning from them, we decided that that would be a really great route to take. But we didn't want students to just say, "Yep, I'm opting out." Last year we had a module that they had to go through, the student and their parent, and it gave all of the information on more about FAFSA and what they are actually opting out of. Also, though, I will note, students opting out does not mean they can't complete it at some point. So that is just an option for them to have their list checked off. But the biggest piece is just ensuring that they know the importance of the FAFSA. And so as a district, we felt good about 100% engagement, because it means that counselors, future center associates, the college specialists, myself, and a couple other people who are like on the ground were having those touch points with students and families. We also partnered with a local Six Sigma organization for some really helpful insights into problem solving. Our biggest piece, which was the parent engagement, and we are seeing increases in that parent engagement with our new efforts.
There is a question in the chat. I don't know if it's necessarily for you, but I'll read it out loud. Does anyone have experience / information working with wards of the state? Please share any noticeable differences. There's another question in the chat. Can you define what you mean by meaningful engagement meetings for the opt-out process?
Yep. I'm going to answer that one, and then I'll let words of the state be for others. But I will say, for students who have the unusual circumstances on the FAFSA form, we just ensure they're checking that, because it skips past a ton of those questions that are necessary. And then for meaningful engagement, what that would look like is one-on-ones, that the student has met one-on-one with their counselor or their future center associate or LaSaundra herself. And they are understanding of what the FAFSA is and what they are choosing to not participate in. And then for parents, that includes phone calls. We have a Schoology messaging system, and then like just text messages with the families. But as long as student and parent says, yes, I understand, but yes, I still would like to opt out, that's what we use for that. We document that in our Power School system and our student information system. So under each individual student in their case notes in their Power School, we log that, and then that'll be an easy report to pull. We are positive that the state is going to want to audit if there are a large number of opt-outs, and so we want to make sure we have that documented.
We have another question in the chat that says, can you provide more details on how you're supporting students who are having a hard time completing the FAFSA because the FSA ID verification due to parents not having a social security number? I think I can go to you guys or Pinellas. I think you guys are both probably dealing with this.
It is a challenging time. I'll just say that. But we usually try to have the student and the family come in. I know I'll have parents come in and meet with me during the FAFSA nights or one-on-one. If I can't figure it out myself, then we'll try to call the FAFSA 1-800 number. I know a lot of times you don't get in, but sometimes I'll get lucky and FAFSA will pick up and try to answer my questions. But as far as the FSA ID with no social, everything's just kind of on a hold right now. So we're just kind of encouraging our families to wait, not get discouraged, and then just continuously check up on them.
I would say same with Pinellas. I'm sure everybody's kind of been at the events where it's taking a while, even when they send the request for the parent, and they said they did it a couple days ago, and it's not showing up. So I think a lot of things are just kind of sit and wait because things are not kind of where we think they should be. We rely a lot on the financial aid advisors from the colleges. Usually they're able to, because that's what they do every day, they're able to find the workarounds faster than us. And I think Brooke was trying to answer the foster care question. I do know that we have a foster care counselor within our district. So almost all of our students in DCF custody, she has access to them. She ensures their FAFSA is complete and works closely with them and the school counselor and the college and career coordinator at the school to ensure that, they get all of the resources and the financial aid that they deserve.
Yes, and I was just going to add that because if they are a ward of the court, they would be one that are independent, so we don't have to have parent information. So usually those are fairly easy to complete because of that. And I was going to add just one other thing regarding the parents without the social security numbers that were having issues. There was something that came out, I think, last week from the FSA saying that if you had students who had a deadline that was approaching, they could do this without parent information, so they could at least get it submitted. There was like a very specific step-by-step, but it emphasized it will show them as incomplete once it does process. And so they said, don't do this just for any student, only if they have an upcoming like school deadline that they're trying to meet. And so I think maybe had a few students to go that route to try that.
Thank you. All right, so thank you all so much for your time and your presentation and answering the questions that came up. Again, appreciate you so much and your time. We're going to move into idea exchange. And so we're going to quickly just throw you guys in some breakout rooms to reflect on presentations you heard, but also to connect with folks who are in the room. And feel free to introduce yourself, your title, your role, and answer one of these discussion prompts, or introduce yourself, title, your role, and what's coming up for you as well. So we want this to be meaningful conversations for what you need. So we're going to break you into those groups. You'll be in them for about 10 minutes. And then we'll come back and I'll ask that you share out, and we will, wrap up and talk about kind of next steps and the next sessions. Christina, if you want to go ahead and open up those rooms. Thank you.
Allison, you are muted.
Oh, that would help if I was unmuted. So I'm curious, what did you guys hear in your breakout groups? Were there any takeaways? Were there any new information shared that maybe the larger group could benefit from? Just anything you guys can share back with the group.
One thing I'll just share is my crew helped me to look into the NCAN website a little bit deeper. So I'm obsessing over the data now.
Oh, that's great. I know the group I was in talked about the importance of being brave and, you know, even with all the changes and lack of information, you know, having to kind of operate in a space where you don't know all the answers and still having to do it and be brave and put one foot in front of the other. I think that's a good message for this year.
I know one of the things that came up in our group was everybody was talking about like FAFSA nights and stuff like that. And one of the young ladies from Minnesota mentioned that that was a problem for some students because they work after school, particularly students in Black and Brown communities where they go right from school right to work. And so having alternative times for those kinds of events would probably be something that we need to look closely at.
Yeah, that's a great point for students who work. Did they have a workaround or like a time that they found that worked?
Well, they're working on it, I guess. You know, one of the good things about conversations like this is that we begin to think about, you know, alternate ideas and ways that we can work. And then everybody's just so helpful about, well, send me a text and I'll tell you what we do, that kind of thing. So I think one of the good things about this kind of a format is that it gives us a chance to exchange ideas and information and numbers. So.
Good. I'm glad to hear that that was the intent of this. So I'm excited that that happened for you guys.
And I could
Bye.
just share real quick, Allison. One of the things we found was a great partner was the religious community. And so we had FAFSA completion events after services on Sunday. And I know Minneapolis, the mosque plays a major role in some communities. So making relationships with those religious entities also help with the completion rates for the non-traditional times that you could offer to students and their families, because you need them both together to get it done. One of the things that was highlighted in my group was the value and importance of forming relationships to get the work done. So that always resonates a lot with me, because until you have the relationships with the students and the family, you can't, you know, you really can't guide them, because this is very personal, intrusive work when you talk about financial planning. So I'll just offer that up and stop there, Allison.
Yeah, thank you. All right. I'm just going to wrap us up and let you know that NIPSI is still available to help you strengthen your FAFSA completion plans this year. If you're still working on your strategies or trying to figure out how do you get over the finish line, you know, reach out. You can contact us today at info@nipsi.org. We would love to hear from you and support you in your FAFSA completion strategy building. And then announcements, we have 2 more FAFSA focus sessions coming up. Next week, I'm really excited. We're going to hear from Brian Harris, who's Director of College Pathways at CPS, Chicago Public Schools. We're also going to hear from Breakthrough Texas from Kendra Strange and Christy Almeida about developing strategies to support all families. And so we will have a little bit more information about supporting students from mixed status families, so parents who don't have Social Security numbers. And hear how they're working with their students. And then March 19th, which is 2 weeks, our third session and final session is going to be building partnerships for district success. And we're going to hear about some of the innovative strategies National Louis University is putting into place. So from the college perspective, how are they supporting students navigate FAFSA and feel more secure about what comes next? And then we're also going to hear from the Chief Program Officer, Michelle Howard, over at Hope Chicago. And they are a organization that partners with schools and colleges. So hear about their strategies and kind of how they're supporting the FAFSA completion efforts in Chicago. When you guys go to leave, there will be a exit survey. Please complete it. Let us know your thoughts and what we can do in the future. Thank you all for attending. It was so great to hear from you. And I'll see you all hopefully next week.